Hello everyone, Storm11 here. Today we'll be talking about multiple rounds of severe weather will be happening across parts of the central and eastern United States over the next several days here. It's definitely going to be a very active pattern that we definitely need to watch for as well. And so we're going to get started with the SPC outlook here. So this is for the rest of today. We got a marginal risk across parts of Kansas and Oklahoma, and another marginal risk across parts of eastern North Carolina. There could be a low wind tornado risk across parts of eastern North Carolina. Damage winds will also be there, but the hail threat will be more focused across parts of Kansas and Oklahoma for today. Tomorrow, we got a slight risk for severe weather across parts of northeastern Kansas with a marginal risk across some of the adjacent states. Maybe a low wind tornado risk across parts of southern Kansas. Wind will also be there, but the main threat will be hail, which will be more focused across parts of northeastern Kansas. Now, day three, this is where we start to get started with that active pattern. We got enhanced risk for severe weather across parts of central and southern Missouri, northern Arkansas, far northeastern Oklahoma, even to parts of southwestern Illinois as well. You also got that slight risk for some of the adjacent states as well. If you look at the probabilities, there is a hatched area more focused across central and southern Missouri, even into parts of northwestern Arkansas as well. That could indicate the potential for some significant severe weather. It could either be damaged winds, large hail, or maybe that tornado threat as well within that hatched region. We're not done yet. If you move on to day four, predictably is too low for right now. But day five, things get focused further back to the west. You got a 15% slight risk from parts of southern Nebraska, the eastern half of Kansas, most of Oklahoma, into parts of north central Texas. And then on day six, which is Wednesday, you got that 15% slight risk across parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, southwestern Georgia, and the panhandle of Florida as well. Don't be surprised if this gets expanded for to the north here. I'm going to show you guys why here in just a moment here. But let's first talk about Sunday's threat. So we're going to first check out the NAM here. Kind of watch the western side of your screen here, or the left side of your screen. You'll start to see a warm front that passes through across parts of Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky that could lead to rounds of showers and thunderstorms. But that's not the severe weather threat type of thing. So that would continue to move on to the northeast here until it kind of stalls out when it kind of gets into northern Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, which eventually some of you folks up there may see a flash flooding threat. Some of you guys may see at least a couple inches of rain. And then you see this here. So this is now getting into the evening hours on Sunday. You got a 996 millibar low in northern Missouri. And just to the south of that, you got some scattered cells there kind of going along that front here. There's also a line of maybe some showers and thunderstorms as well. We may need to pay attention to those as well. But the main threat is these right here, which do extend back into parts of northeastern Oklahoma. And those are the ones that may bring in all hazards. Damage winds, large hail, and maybe a few tornadoes. And one or two of those maybe on the strong side as well. We'll definitely check out some of those soundings. And then you kind of get closer to the overnight hours. So you can see those storms here really begin to fire up here, really anywhere from southeastern Oklahoma up into parts of southwestern Illinois, kind of around the St. Louis area as well. Maybe could see some supercells out there. The low will slowly die down throughout the overnight hours. You can see here it's down to 1,000 millibars, but you still got that line of showers and thunderstorms continuing to move through parts of Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, and eventually it's going into parts of Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee. And then you see here, now it's starting to get to the early morning hours. Still can see maybe a strong storm or two, even into the early morning hours. And then you kind of get into the mid-morning hours, maybe into parts of the early afternoon. Possibly some strong storms across parts of Kentucky and Ohio, maybe down to parts of Tennessee as well. We're in that point. Then eventually, there could be another round of some showers and thunderstorms. If kind of depends on if the environment can regenerate in time here to get some of that instability in there as well. We'll see what happens there, but you also do notice here the low pressure system does die down at the same time as well, so there won't be as much wind shear as the day before. So really, generally, Sunday evening or late afternoon of Sunday into parts of Monday will probably be your severe weather time frame as well. And if we check out those upper level wind dynamics here, we're going to check out the 850 millbar winds. This is what we call the low level jet here, and this can certainly increase your severe weather threat, mainly the tornado threat and also your damage wind threat as well. As we kind of play this through here, and generally for a pretty good low level jet, generally around 35 to 40 knots, but the stronger side of the low level jet will be 60 to 65 knots and above. And as we kind of check this out here, especially when you get into the late afternoon hours here, look at this strong load of a jet that's in place here. Winds coming from the southwest here as well. And just above here, some of these winds here will be kind of going in a different direction here from the northwest, especially going along with that cold front as well. So that's going to lead to some wind shear out there as well, especially with that low, not that far away. The low pressure system will certainly help with that wind shear. And then as you kind of get to the overnight hours, you definitely see that low of a jet still get stronger here. Now getting into the 65 to 70 knot range. It's not widespread, but it is certainly on the strong side. And then as you kind of continue on here, and then this is where your kind of your damage wind threat may come into play here. You got a spot of a very strong low of a jet here, close to 80 knots there. That could indicate maybe some very strong thunderstorms in there that could be producing damaging straight line winds. But that may change though. That's an isolated area there. But you do certainly see here how that low of a jet does continue to move on to the east here, and eventually into parts of Tennessee, Kentucky, and Ohio. Even with a strong low of a jet like that, could still lead to some severe weather. But not only severe weather, but even high winds at the surface here without um, storms. Generally, with a low of a jet this strong here, you could possibly see wind gusts 35 to 40 miles per hour. Now, maybe some isolated higher spots as well. So even without thunderstorms, some of these folks could see some gusty winds from the southwest as well. So it's definitely something we need to keep an eye on as well. Let's check out the let's see here. Let's check out the Super Set composite here. Let's try to save a little bit of time here. Uh, so the Super Set composite is generally a combination of wind shear and cape. It's really all it is, or instability. And you do see here, these numbers do get pretty decently high here. And I realize we're on the wrong run here. Let's go back to 18Z. And trust me, it's pretty much, it's very similar than its last run. But you do see here, since we're now in the new run here, you can see here, pretty high numbers here with the superset composite here, especially kind of going along the Missouri and Arkansas border here. And as we kind of check this out here, this is a very favorable sounding here for all hazards, and some of it could be significant. We got a very large hodograph here. You also got tons of wind shear as well. Storm velocity numbers are very high. Plenty of cape out there for instability. Lab rates is alright. Downdraft cape supports a damage wind threat. 3 cape does support the severe weather threat as well. So this will be pretty favorable for all hazards here on the sounding here. So definitely something to watch here. And you can also notice here with the wind bars here, there's definitely some wind direction of height as well. So it's definitely something we need to keep an eye on as well. We'll get another sounding here further up to the north here, more focused in central Missouri. And kind of a similar situation here, still favorable for all hazards, but I do notice here that the lap rates is also a little bit stronger here, which could definitely increase that hail threat as well. Stronger updrafts up there, even with this elevated mix layer right here, kind of between the dew point and the temperature line, will also could indicate a better hail threat as well. Still got that decent hodograph out there, And story to velocity numbers are still favorable for severe weather. Decent amount of cape and also downdraft cape is still there as well. So this sounding also supports all hazards as well. And then we get down to central Arkansas here really quick. And yeah, it looks like it does get a little bit on the higher end of the scale here. Pretty good hodograph here. Plenty of wind direction of height. Story to velocity numbers on the higher side. Plenty of cape. Downdraft cape is there. Generally, it's pretty much the same way as the other soundings as well. Basically, what all this means here that we could see some storms that could produce damaging winds, large hail, and maybe some tornadoes, and one or two of those could be strong, given by of how strong the wind shear is, and also that combination of cape here. So any storm that develops out ahead of the cold front could certainly easily become supercells, and those are the ones you need to watch for that hail threat, and also for that tornado threat as well. And as we kind of continue on throughout the night here, of course, the cape starts to go away, so the environment kind of calms down a little bit. But then you can kind of get into parts of Monday here. Some of those numbers start to come back, but it's not going to be as bad as Sunday here. The severe weather threat will be much lower here, especially with that weaker low pressure system. So you kind of go further to the south here. Maybe some isolated severe storms down there, but then again, I don't expect too much of anything here. But maybe in the early morning hours, we could see some things happen across parts of Kentucky, Tennessee, maybe into parts of Ohio because of that low of a jet being very strong, and also that there's a lot of energy up there. So we could still see some strong storms in the early morning hours on Monday as well. So we still may need to watch those storms throughout the night as well. We'll check out the Harris Dam fairly quickly here on its latest run here. And you can see here, as we kind of get into the early evening hours, you do see some cells developing along even out ahead of the front, and it's not even, and it's actually a broken line of storms. So even the storms that form along that front still has a chance to produce all hazards. But if they do start to cluster up, then that chances for hail and the strong tornado threat does decrease as well. But still, storms forming out ahead of those storms are definitely the ones to watch there, especially if you're very lonely as well. You should kind of go through into the overnight hours. At that point they do start to cluster up as well. But you also do notice here, a little further up to the north here, kind of along that warm front, multiple rounds of showers and thunderstorms. Could be heavy at times. Could definitely lead to some flooding problems up there as well. So that's definitely something we need to watch for as well around the same time frame. We'll check out the Super Silk composite here very quickly here, and then we'll check out a couple more models and then check out what will be happening beyond Sunday. You can see here with the Super Silk composite here, if it can load faster, you do see here those numbers are on the higher end of the scale as well. With the Super Silk composite, numbers are pretty high getting down parts of Texas, which is pretty interesting there. Could be a cap down there though, I would imagine. But the main area to focus on will be parts of Missouri and Arkansas. And you can see here, definitely some similarities to the NAM. Not as high as with the Cape, but still favorable for all hazards as well. And as we kind of move into parts of Arkansas, then again, a very similar scenario here. So pretty much the NAM family does have a pretty good agreement here with the severe weather threat as well across parts of Missouri and Arkansas, even as far south as across parts of eastern Oklahoma, northeastern Texas, maybe northern Louisiana, maybe a little bit too far south on that. But really, the main area to focus here for severe weather will be across parts of central and southern Missouri in northern Arkansas. Those will be the areas I will monitor very closely here. If any isolated cell that develops out ahead of that front, those will be those big troublemakers as well. So that's definitely something we need to pay attention to as well. So let's check out the European model here, and you can see here, this is 500 millibar winds here. You do see this big trough that moves in across parts of the central United States here. This will be a bowling ball trough, and they'll be continuing to move quickly off to the east here. If you check out that load of a jet there at the same time, it's pretty strong across parts of Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky, even to parts of Missouri as well. A fairly strong low-level jet, even to parts of Ohio as well. And then again, if you kind of check out kind of below that, the winds are actually not that strong here. Typically, the European models on the higher end of the scale out of the others with these type of events. But for past experiences here, the GFS is actually the most accurate here, at least in my opinion here, when it comes to wind gusts. You do see here, it's actually high here. If we're going to see a pretty strong low of a jet, there's a decent chance we're going to see some strong winds at the surface here without thunderstorms. As you kind of move on to 4 o'clock in the morning here, kind of going back to the low of a jet here, you do see here, it does get pretty strong in the overnight hours, which is pretty typical here. Um, 73 to 75 mile per hour winds, which is pretty strong for a low of a jet. And just below that, you're talking about wind gusts getting close to 50 miles per hour. Maybe a little high, but either way, there's going to be some strong wind gusts out there. So if you guys got any Halloween decorations, be sure to put them in or strap them down because the winds overnight could be on the strong side. Not only for Kentucky, but even for parts of Illinois, Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, Indiana, and Ohio. Those would be the areas I would pay attention to for some strong winds, even without thunderstorms as well. So we'll actually check out. You know what? Let's actually check out the GFS ball here first. It's easier to look on tropical tippets here with the with those ISO bars. So that system kind of passes by there. You also got this big system out here just off the west coast of Washington. That's going to be a big time low out there, a very strong low. That'll be making on shore there into parts of Washington. This will be your next troublemaker here. And here's Tuesday here. Got 990 millibar low in Nebraska here. We got some strong southerly winds here moving across parts of the southern plains. Some severe storms may try to fire off kind of along that frontal boundary there as well. And then Wednesday could be your most significant day here, maybe out all of the days here, or at least be nearly as bad as Sunday. So you got a strong low that's in northwestern Iowa here with a trailing front here. At the same time, you got this negative tilt trough here. And some also been hinting on maybe a low that may develop along the front there. If so, that's definitely going to be very concerning here. So this is now kind of getting to peak daytime heating here on Wednesday. You do see here, it does show some of those thunderstorms rolling on through across parts of Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, even up into parts of Indiana as well. It will kind of depend on what the dew points further up north, though. Some models are kind of going back and forth with the dew points across parts of Kentucky and even for parts of Indiana as well. So we'll have to watch for that as well. Dew points will be a limiting factor up there. But for parts of Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee, dew points won't be a problem here with this setup here. You do see here, some of those supersets actually do continue on throughout the overnight hours here Wednesday night, rolling through parts of Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee. Now even continues to move on to the east here, and then another low develops along the frontier. Actually, a pretty strong low here. Got two different lows here. You got your upper level low over at Chicago here, and then a surface low that develops in around the Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware area. And then we get to see a major upper level low that sets up here. You got some strong winds coming in on the backside here. You can definitely tell by those isobars how close they are. And that sets the stage for a major trough that'll stick around across the eastern United States, bringing in some showers, windy conditions. It even for below normal temperatures as well. So it's certainly going to be a big cool down as well. And certainly in the overnight hours, we can now roll out some first snowflakes in some of those higher elevations as well. You can see here, if we kind of back up a little bit, it does show try and show some snow mixing in the higher elevations in West Virginia. Even another speck down the Smoky Mountains there as well. So it could be cold enough for some snow in those higher elevations. It's certainly that time of year as well. So that's definitely something else we need to watch for as well. As we check out the European model here, that's the GFS. Let's talk about Tuesday's setup here. So you get that surface low That's and kind of going along the Colorado-Kansas border, brings in some mountain snow in the higher elevations of Colorado and New Mexico. You do see those thunderstorms kind of going along that front there. If you check out that low level jet, it's pretty strong. It's a strong low level jet again with its setup here. If you check out the Cape here, there's a decent amount of instability out there as well that will definitely support some severe weather. It does expand all the way up to parts of southern South Dakota there, which is fairly interesting. Let's check out them dew points though, and if we kind of go back down to the surface here for dew points, those 60 dew points do get up into parts of central Nebraska as well, so pretty far north here, and also a pretty large area here to watch for severe weather. Tuesday evening here, if you check out the GFS model here, it's a little bit more progressive here, but it does have the progression issue here, so we'll focus a little bit more on the European model for now here. But again, a decent amount of instability. The dew points are there as well. Your upper level wind dynamics are definitely there as well. So let's kind of go back here. So let's go to 1 o'clock in the morning here. You got potentially strong to severe storms, really from parts of southern Texas all the way up into parts of Nebraska and South Dakota. A very large area here to watch for some potential severe weather. If we kind of go back to 500 millibars here, you got this big trough here that sets up here. You also got this big upper level low that's up across parts of the northeast as well. If you kind of move on to Wednesday here, then this is where things get pretty interesting here. Now, I will say here the European model does have a bias to keep most of the energy further to the south and southwest, but the majority of the models do have it a little further up to the northeast here. If we kind of go back to the GFS model here, it has that surface low all the way up to parts of Iowa here, and it's pretty similar to the rest of the models as well, having that surface low up in Iowa, so here, up there as well. But either way, it does show a pretty big setup here as well for Dixie Alley here, which is Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and even to parts of Georgia as well. That's 500 millibars there. Check out this Lova jet here, pretty strong across quite a few areas as well. For Cape though, it's on the lower end of the scale here, but if we check out the GFS model here, it's not that further north either here with the Cape here. This is probably why the SPC has it so far south here, it's because of the Cape here. But either way, even areas a little further up north here, you guys do have a decent amount of dew points, and with that vorticity up there, which is another way of seeing energy in the upper levels in the atmosphere, it can still have some thunderstorms that could try to develop up there as well, or as a line of heavy showers as well, which some of those could be pretty gusty as well. So you can still see some strong storms even without Cape as well for areas a little further up north here. So we kind of go later into the evening hours here. Not much Cape out there. Here's your low level jet here. It's pretty strong out there as well with that negative tilt trough as well. And another low is going to try to develop down here as well, indicated by the GFS model here. If we kind of move back to the European model, it's a little bit slower here. And also the GFS does have that little bit progression issue as well. And here's the European model, has a very strong Lova jet across parts of Alabama and Georgia in the early morning hours. There's not going to be much of a way of instability out there as well. If we go to rain and thunder here, it does show some of those showers of thunderstorms. Some of those could be supercells as well into the overnight hours. And then the severe weather threat may focus a little further off to the east here, maybe focus in the Carolinas by Thursday. But the GFS model has the system much faster, but that's also a bias with the GFS having the systems too progressive there. But either way, we still expect a major system to roll through across parts of the central and eastern United States by the middle of next week here, and eventually it's going to become a major cutoff low here, which will bring in widespread showers, gusty winds as well, and also below normal temperatures as well. So let's check out the energy like I was talking about here at 500 millibars here. So here's your first system right here with that energy out there as well that could definitely fire off some storms. Let's get a different color out. There we go. So here's your wave number 1 right there for Sunday into Monday. Here comes your next wave right here for Tuesday here. Severe weather may be possible as far north as across parts of Nebraska and South Dakota here. Here's your low. That'll be somewhere in New Mexico or Colorado at that time. Continues to move off to the east here. Then it starts to become a little bit of a negative tilt trough here. You do see here, even without not much in the way of instability here, there's going to be some energy out here. You can definitely see here with some of that energy going on out there as well, even without thunderstorms or I'm at Cape as well. And then you kind of see it kind of becomes a big cutoff upper level low. Here's the GFS solution here. There goes wave number 1 out there. Here comes wave number 2. Shows a more significant setup here with the GFS model here with the low being further north. A massive negative tilt trough here. But then again, like I said here, even without Cape here, look all the vorticity that's out there. And that vorticity can support for some showers and maybe even for some thunderstorms as well to form as well. And some of those could be on the strong side. And I think the main threat will probably be damage winds as well. I mean, there maybe could be an isolated tornado threat as well. But there's still a lot of questions with the setup here as well. But it could certainly turn out to be a significant setup here as well, especially if a low does try to develop along that front as well. If you kind of look early on, got a lot of energy out there as well. We'll quickly check out the Canadian model here, very quickly here, the GDPS for that energy. So there goes wave number 1 right there. Kind of getting into Sunday here across parts of Missouri, Iowa. They'll continue to move on to parts of the east there. Here comes your next wave right here. And you do see here, it's actually pretty similar to the European model here. Potential strong storms a little further up north as well here. Check out all the energy there with some of those thunderstorms there as well. And then again, pretty similar to the GFS model here with that low being a little further up north here. And in that warm sector here, especially across parts of Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, maybe as far north as Kentucky here. Check out all the energy that's out there as well. That could definitely support some showers and thunderstorm activity there as well. And that severe weather may continue on into parts of the Carolinas as well. So that may be another area to monitor as well into Thursday. But then again, there's still some uncertainties with the setup here. But either way, looks like we'll be watching a big time system at that time here, sometime in mid to late next week as well. But anyways, guys, that's all for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like this video, hit that like button. If you do like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notifications so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, put a comment section down below. I'll answer you guys' questions. And I see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.